From Senegal to Sugar Hill, trace the bloodline. 100 years of brilliance through the color line. They thought the shackles broke but kept the mental chain. Langston penned the future while they legislated pain. Harlem's ballrooms birthed the cosmos in mahogany, while lynching trees still decorated southern botany. Josephine, Waker's pearls and Garvey's Navy ships. Du Bois debating destiny with scholarship on his lips. The Renaissance was a renaissance of West resistance, fam. Every trumpet blast from Armstrong was a battering ram. They gave us minstrel shows, we gave them Sora Neal. Turned depression into art, made the fabricated real. Cotton Club excluded us from tables every set. Performed the Deanest nightly, never free from the deck. But Bessie Smith could shatter glass, shatter cash, shatter lies. Every note she sang contained a revolution in the sky. Build temples from the rubble, make cathedrals from the struggle. Turned the margins to the center, now they study what we scribble. We build temples from the rubble, every generation double the inheritance of genius that they tried to keep us from. Fast forward through the decades, watch the pattern reassemble. Malcolm's speeches, Martin's marches, every voice begins to tremble to the earth until the structure shows its fractures. FBI was tracking every coon with every pastor, every actor. 40 acres never came but 40 minutes on a stage. Can reconvene your consciousness and channelize the rage. From bebop to hip-hop, the fool lines mathematical. Each generation weaponized the beautiful, the radical. They gave us Reagan, now there's crack and mass incarceration. We gave them Public Enemy and blueprints for liberation. The Harlem Renaissance never ended, just evolved its form. Every freestyle cipher is a brainstorm, he's a storm. Where the children of the talented, the tenth that was prophesied, inherit the fire that the water couldn't wash aside. They tried to write us out the narrative, we offered all on text. 100 years of proof and that we're destined, where was next? Temples from the rubble, made cathedrals from the struggle. Turned the largest to the center, now they study what we scribble. We built temples from the rubble, every generation double the inheritance of genius that they tried to keep us from.
All right, this is Under the Groove podcast. We're back with one of our esteemed guest, Yacinda, and we call her the mental hygienist. All right. It's always a pleasure to get you back on the podcast. You know, a lot of people ask about you. They want to know when you're coming back, and when you do, what are you going to talk about? What's going to be the topic? I tend to tell them in the comments, hey, I want to talk about the brothers, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, but I'm pretty sure you got other things you want to discuss, and you know, we're fine with that, you know. It'll probably be right along the lines of what they want.
Yeah.
Especially what's in the comments. So, yeah, our last sit down, our last session, we did talk about things that brothers are going through and why they're going through. You know, what were some of the causes, you know, for the irresponsibility, the accountability, the game activity. You know, young men and men just not stepping up to the plate.
Right.
You laid out some things in terms of what that could be, as well as some solutions to how a lot of men, young men and men, could change this trajectory there. So if you want to pick up from there, I'm fine with that. You know.
Well, first and foremost, thank you for having me back on.
You're welcome.
And we could run this subject for a while.
Yeah.
Right? Because the roots run so deep.
Mm-hmm.
And to give it surface level, you might not hit everything, right? So, no, my heart is for the men, for the, you know, the males that's going to win. There's so many broken, fragmented men that, yeah, like we can hold this for a while.
Yeah.
Space to hold it, because the man being the head, if he's not right, he's going to affect his wife, he's going to affect work, he's going to affect his children. Everything about that man will be affected if he's not healed properly.
And so that impact just doesn't stay with him.
Oh, absolutely not.
Impacting
Absolutely not.
everything around him.
Everything he touches is going to be affected by how he shows up and the trauma that he brings with him, right? And healing is a process.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it may never end the healing. It's always going to be going. Okay. You might get to the next step, but you got to heal at that point too, because the root is so deep.
Okay. Well, I did have some questions, and maybe with one of these questions, we just pick up some of the how we normally do.
Absolutely.
But you know, for the most part, what we do is organic in a sense. All right. But just one question to start, and then hey, let's go. All right. First off, again, I did want to ask you, if you had to design one intervention, it could be school-based, family-based, or community based, or would that? I don't want to say it like that. School-based, family-based, or community-based, that would do the most to interrupt this cycle that we see brothers doing. All right, which one would be more effective, you think, if you had to choose one?
One. That's such a complex question.
Yeah.
Right?
But break it down.
Because so you mean like the family, would I choose the family, or would I choose the school system, or would I choose, what was the third one? I'm sorry.
School-based, family-based, and community.
Okay.
And it's all evolving around intervention.
Right. But it's such because all of them can be intertwined, right? Because if I choose one, let's say we don't have a solid family base, but school can, pour into, community can pour into. So again, that's such a complex question to say which one would I have if I had to, if you would press me and be like, you got to pick one, I would pick family. I pick family first because everything starts inside them.
Okay.
So I would have to pick that one because what you teach at home is what goes out into the school and then to the community, right? And interestingly enough, I was talking to a gentleman last week, and he was saying that there's no such thing as a lazy kids as lazy parents.
That's what he said.
That's what he said, right?
How do you respond to that?
So to bring context into it is, it's almost like if your child is not thriving and they come with a blank slate, who's pouring into them? Right? It's still up to the parent, because from my position, the parent is the little G God.
Yeah.
So they're your first whatever, everything.
Interaction or
of
whatever.
everything, right? So even from the womb, right? If a mother, mostly I'm gonna go mother because she carries them, and the child, female or male, if they are rejected in the womb, they come out with a rejected spirit, right? Mm-hmm. They come out with abandonment issues already off.
Right.
They didn't ask for anything. That's just off rip. They're going to feel rejected. So then you have now stepping stone from that rejection, because if she hasn't gotten it together to embrace this child that was conceived, however, because you can reject your kid and be in a marriage, you just didn't plan to get pregnant, right? That child is still carrying that burden.
Right. Okay.
So then, do you show up when they cry immediately? Do you teach them how to self-soothe? Do you teach them, like, there's so many things that's why it's such a deeper conversation than how they just showed up in the hood.
Mm-hmm. How'd they end up there?
How did they end up? Because most of it is out of brokenness, right? I'm gonna tell you a story. I got to counsel someone that was on the brink of suicide and or homicide. Mm-hmm. That's the hopelessness and despair. And my first question is, do you really want to die? Or do you want to just stop the pain? And he was like, kind of both, right? Because of the hopelessness. So we, having our conversation, and he was telling me about his great-grandmother and his grandmother, but he never talked about his mom. You gotta have a mom to get to grandma and great-grandma, right? So I had to, if you don't mind, tell me about your mom. And he said his mom put him in a cardboard box. And I can't remember if he said took him to the grandmother. Can you imagine at one? Can you imagine that you would think that baby doesn't know what's going on? But that's immediate abandonment.
Yeah.
Right? And then he said by the time 11, he watched his great-grandmother, which was his rock, die as he held her hand. And then he gave up on life at 11. That's when he joined the gang. So do you see how the root went even deeper?
Yeah.
And then he lived this reckless life.
I have a question about this. And at one, this occurred. Did he recall that, or was that something that was told to him?
In terms of
him being abandoned.
I gave him the language of abandonment because most people don't have the language of
but him
abandonment.
being placed in the cardboard
but
box.
The story was told. I'm
okay,
sure.
Right.
I'm sure someone told him the story because he's one. So
yeah.
I didn't go that deep because it was maybe our first session or second. I can't remember which, but it was that I needed a little bit background story to, bridge the gap because all he was talking about, but you're missing a layer in there. So me being inquisitive, what happened to this layer right here? So then imagine your mama abandoned you, and you don't know who your daddy is, which is another layer of abandonment.
And then the rock passed away.
And then the rock passed away. Absolutely. So then, and no one's talking about his emotion. So they're not even talking. How are you feeling about this?
Right.
So then when you go into the street at 11 and you with your big homies that now use you for what they need to use you for because you're the little homie and you won't go to jail if you hold this or do that, right? And because we're all searching for love and in the wrong place, but I need connection. And then you get a hold to that. You got despair. But you don't know the language of it.
Of what you're
feeling.
What you're going
right.
through.
Of what you're going through. Of why, what is this deep, empty feeling? All I know is if I go in the street, somebody's gonna pay attention to me. I'm gonna smoke a little weed, I'm gonna drink, I'm going to be able to escape, which escalated for this person. He started taking perks. Right? Because it escalates. You're not if you don't deal with the pain, it doesn't decrease. Right. So now you have to find more ways to avoid the pain instead of dealing with the pain. But you don't have anyone to sit down with you and help navigate that.
You use the term escape. And that's
absolutely.
what, we've seen this, growing up, going through what I went through, especially incarcerated. We see that quite often, the escape, and not just from the environment, prison, but all those problems that, that exist in spite of you being incarcerated. Your family out there, what's going on with your mom.
That's just the symptom, but we don't get to the cause
of that, right?
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, incarceration. That's just again like a symptom. That it got to manifest some way.
Yeah.
Right. And even as he was talking to me, he had spent like 3 years in jail, and he was like, "I was violent. I the way I can get it off is I'm gonna fight. I'm gonna beat somebody up, or I'm going to." So what let me know he had a gentle heart is because he stood up for the people that couldn't stand up for themselves. Right? So it was still like, I want to help and I'm going to get it off anyway. Does that make sense? Like,
and
two things can be at the same time.
For me, it was what he was asking for, what he wished he'd had, growing up.
Absolutely.
Someone
Absolutely.
So I see how that works out. I understand that. So how did this session go?
So by the time we were done, he was off the edge. Like I could hear him with some relief because his theme was no one understands me. And when he's in, it was a really in-depth conversation. And he had really great insight. He wasn't done by it.
I wanted to ask you about the insight.
Oh, he had great insight. But he was so lost and trapped. He was trapped, right? And so he was like, no one understands me. He has a fiance and she doesn't understand. So by the time we began talking, I could nail some stuff. And he was like, I don't even know you, and you know me better than the people around me.
I recall our last conversation, we were talking about how to help people who may be in that state of mind.
Yeah.
And your suggestion was to sometimes just listen.
Just listen.
And so that's what it took.
For me to listen and then pick up, because you have to know how to pick up things that normal people don't listen to or something. It's just a story. And look, to the point of, if he begins to tell the story, then somebody tells their story. So now you're interrupted. And you and the person that should be a good listener now made it be about them instead of me being able to express my emotion. So then you shut down, you withdraw, and then you go, this is not a safe place.
Yeah. For sure.
You know?
For sure.
It was quite interesting. It was quite interesting.
Now I'm interested in how often that was you said your first session.
Well, that was last week, right? So I talked to him. I think like the next day, because I still want to make sure you're in a good place, you're stable,
Right.
you know, whatever. I make sure, let me know if you need to talk to me. And I texted him and he was supposed to get back with me. So I'll follow up this week to make sure that he's in a good place. But because I think that I think the bigger thing is, and it's with most people, again, they just want to be heard. Not just listen to the rhetoric, they want to be heard.
And
like it's a deeper feeling of being heard.
Okay. Something they'll
Right.
understand.
Like you knew, like, oh, I felt like you heard me.
Right. Is it would this pertain to that mindset, just being wanting your for the youth, especially street, part of what
Oh,
is
for
going on?
sure. But
They're not being heard.
They're
and as
not
a
being
result,
heard, nor
they're-
are they given the language,
Mhm.
because language is so important, right? So
Well, what do you mean by giving the
the
language?
language. Okay, so even in talking to this young man, to give him, oh, you were a bad man.
Mhm.
Oh, I never thought about it like that. I'm not angry. I'm hurt. I'm sad. I have despair. Instead of, because the manifestation of it is anger. But that's not the first line of emotion that you're really feeling. You're really feeling sad. But because I don't have the language that I'm sad, and then society says I don't have room to be sad. You better be a man. You can't cry. No, you need to shed those tears. But you need a safe place also to be able to pour it out.
To express.
It. But again, if you don't have the language, because a lot of parents, I'm not going to say most, is the attitude is suck it up, buttercup.
Right.
Be a man. You're giving up. That's
and
not,
especially the fathers.
especially
Right.
the fathers, right? So if you're my example and you're my first little G God, and you're telling me to be quiet, then I have to rely on my own feelings that I don't know what they are. Like sometimes you have feelings and don't even know. I was talking to somebody, a woman, and she was like, I don't know if I'm depressed or not. Like, I don't know. Is that that even the right word? So then you go down, well, tell me this, and this. And I go, yeah, that's the right word, or that's not the right word. So can you imagine a little kid that is a blank slate? I don't have the word for what I'm feeling. I just know I'm not feeling right. Well, I know if I get aggressive, then I'm gonna get attention. That doesn't still resolve the problem. You got attention, and then the adult doesn't know how to handle the attention, because now you're getting punished because you're acting out instead of inquiring, what's going on? Tell me what's going on. Are you feeling frustrated? And then well, do you know what frustrated means? Right? Okay, so, or are you feeling sad, or are you feeling like you give them action?
Right.
And they get to go, oh, I feel frustrated. Well, why do you feel frustrated? Oh, because the teacher in math, I was trying to tell them, ask them a question, and she didn't stop to ask the question. So I really want to get my work done, but I just don't understand. So then I decide I'm going to act a fool because you're going to give me some attention. Because I asked for it legitimately. And you just told me, well, sit down. Well, maybe my brain doesn't work like Tommy's brain over there. So now what do I do when you're teaching me this way, but it ain't enough for me? And if you don't have an advocate to tell the teacher, because it's not necessarily the teacher's fault, because she got 30 kids, but you got a parent that should know their kid and how they ebb and flow to go tell the teacher, oh, his brain doesn't work like that. You might have to slow down. You might have to take him to the side. You might have to do all of these things to make sure that he is getting what is being put down.
So, and I understand that most of what you're talking about right now are solutions. You know, that a lot of us can use should we come into a situation what you would describe.
Right.
I get that, but again, that could pertain to a little bit of anybody. It doesn't necessarily have to be suicidal.
No. That's just when you've gotten so far down the road, and I feel like I can't kick the can no more because the can is kicking me out, right? So, and I feel trapped, and when you feel trapped and you can't even see a ray of sunshine, and everything is so dark. I don't know anything else to do but walk into that darkness.
And I think so. What I was asking, when we're dealing, let's say, with the youth, and that's in the streets, they're involved, involved in, is that approach? Is that the same approach we use, or could or should be used when dealing with them?
Humans, right? They might be a little bit more hardened,
Right.
but they still want love.
Yeah.
They still want someone to pay attention
They
to
want
them.
to be
They
heard.
still want
Yeah.
somebody to say, "You did a good job." It's such a simple little thing to do. Be like, "Oh, I'm so happy to see you today. You today, whatever.
Yeah.
Fill in the blank
Yeah.
name."
Now this guy, I like to know what's gonna, in time,
Yeah.
how this thing turns out. I find it interesting to just hear something like that. Never been in that position or situation where I'm talking to someone and they say, "Hey, I'm done."
Right.
I don't know if I would climb up and like, "Hey, man,"
Because that's a little scary, though, right?
Yeah.
That's a little nerve
I don't
wracking.
want to be responsible. Should
Right.
You know,
Should that? So let me tell you a funny story. Not funny, but funny story. Which is gonna hit home a little bit. So someone called me and was like, I can't remember names, but so and so just got out of jail and they need help, and I'm trying to remember that if it was suicidal, but I know that they needed help. And my response was, that's a little above my pay grade, right? And they ultimately end up killing their girlfriend, right? And I can't have regrets in, hey, maybe I could have helped them. I don't know. God didn't give it to me to help them in that moment.
But still, what was
What was my thought at the time?
your
It literally was that it was above my pay grade. Like I don't know that I was equipped.
after hearing what it took place at the end, that's
I didn't. It didn't make me feel any kind of way, to be honest, because I knew that. But okay, so I felt like I still didn't, because of the, I guess the information that was given to me, it was a little big for me. But I got,
and ergo, that's above my pay grade.
ergo, that's right. So, and not that I get paid for this or whatever, right? That is just the same, right? But then I got the call again. Same person, different person. Same person gave me the call for help, but a different situation. And literally my first thought was, oh, I don't know, that's above my pay grade. And then I was like, you know what? Okay, have them call me. I stopped. I said a prayer. They called, and we got to it, right? So I don't know that I could have, because it's literally case by case. You don't know the person's mental capacity. So I don't know that I could help that man that had been in jail for 20, 30 years. And then he did this. I could have talked to him. I was blue in the face, and he'd still go do that, right? Because it could be chemicals. It could be a lot of other things going on that I wasn't equipped with. So I don't know, right? But I know that it's not a little thing. And when someone comes, the first answer I give is, do you really want to die? Because most people really don't want to die. They just want the pain to stop, right? And they don't know how to express that. So they'll either hurt themselves or others just to relieve the pain.
And this discussion, and just to be clear, we're talking about the youth, right?
Yeah, we're talking about.
But I had a thought just now about the adults.
Yeah. Well, the man I'm talking about was an adult.
Yeah. But just period now. The adults, the same thing that we understand.
Right.
That's the issue for a lot of our youth. Not being
heard, right.
Could that be? Is that the same thing?
Absolutely.
That's why they are like that. Then why they respond to,
Because if you don't learn it as a kid, as a youth, as a teenager, then you have more years to be shut down. You have more years to, then you got layers and layers of stuff that's pushed down. And eventually it has to erupt in some way. So it can erupt physically. And when I say physically, that can be you hurting someone else and or yourself, or medically, because we never attribute illness to what's going on inside of us
internally.
Exactly. And the body keeps score.
Yeah.
So it's going to manifest some way. And with most men, they have to feel brave enough to have a hard conversation, right? But because they weren't taught how to regulate their nervous system, they're like, this is not a safe place. I was reading something and it said men are very competitive in everything except for their relationship.
Break that down.
So men want that high five. Great job. You're elite. You're a king. You're a great football player. You're whatever the big thing is, right? But they come home to their woman and minimize her. There's no you don't have no competition unless your insecurity creates with another man, which could be true, real, or not. But it's not that you're fighting for her. You're fighting your own nervous system, right? Because she could love you with everything she could love you with, and your nervous system will still ruin the relationship because you're dysregulated. Because now, oh my God, I have to compete against this man that is true or not true. But you're not fighting for her. You're fighting the man. Right. But you're not fighting for the relationship.
So in other words, the relationship is when he comes home from work, school, guys, hey baby, you're that same energy should be applied to this one, and not competitively, but because hey, this is the one, and you're giving her that same,
all the things, right? Okay. But because you're just my wife,
I'm not gonna do that.
I don't have to do it because I won you over.
Yeah, I'm secure.
But I'm secure, right? Never mind that she's drowning and you didn't pay attention.
Right. All right.
But you'll go out and get suited up for whatever you're getting suited up, because I got something to prove to these men that I'm on this team with. Never mind your day one team member over here. You forgot about her. But I got to show up over here. And they go home to their own people, right? For this hour, whatever, or the job that you have. You got to outperform whoever. But you too tired when it comes to her. You can't help at home when it comes to her. I'm tired. I gotta relax now. I gotta play this game. I gotta what? But you had all the energy for somebody that didn't care about you. But you didn't have it for me. I need that same energy, that same competitive. Now you are your biggest competitor. Did I do better for her today than I did yesterday? Does that make sense?
Oh, a lot. Quite a bit. I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one that got that. You know, brothers can be like, oh, shit. Yeah. Right. That's solid. To the point where, okay, type of game.
That hit a little nerve there.
No, but hey, it's an eye opener. Right? Yeah, it's an eye opener. It should have every individual man reflect on, that day one, that number one,
that's holding you up, right?
Absolutely.
Caring for your kids, making sure your house is a home.
Yeah, absolutely.
All the things that you want to come home to, but you forgot about her. You took her off like a t-shirt and put her on the floor. She'll be there. Yeah, she good, but she's not, because you forgot she was a human being too. And I've been telling you, whatever I need to say, but you stopped listening, so I stopped talking.
Now, does this go conversely?
It can
go. I don't want, because there very well maybe brothers do that exact thing that you suggest.
Right.
However, it might be that maybe non-receptive.
Well,
you know.
women are broken too, but we are broken in different ways. And men, so I would give it more weight for a man than for a woman, right?
Wow.
Because a man is the head, he's the covering, he's the protector, he's the provider, he's all of the things, right? He has a lot under his umbrella. And if he's not, let's put it like this, a woman is a multiplier. Whatever a man gives her, she's gonna multiply. If you give me 0, what you gonna get if I multiply it to anything? Nothing, right? But if you're showing up and she's any part of a good woman, and that doesn't mean a completely healed woman, because they got daddy issues, whatever, mama issues, all the things, right? We're built different. Women are built different. So if you're showing up in that way, and if you're showing up being the covering and being all the things, and I'm being attentive to you, babe, then you got to rethink who your partner is. Because a man is the one who shapes and does all the things for the woman. We just are your helper. We're here to help you. But you already, like, we fill in the blanks, but you're already the vessel, as it were, right? So we're there for your blind spots, which you won't be able to see, but you're still the head of it. So if you're not pouring it to me, I can't see what you won't let me see. Does that make sense? Did I say it?
No, I get it from your perspective. I get it.
Yeah, so for a woman, it's just going to show up differently. And a man, that's how men are built, right? They're warriors. I'm just like, at the end of the day, I'm going to be a soft place to fall, but you can't be my rock to fall on. You're supposed to be my rock to hold me down. But if you're pushing me down on a rock, you're going to hurt me. You know, like most men say, all I want is peace, but you can't leave me in pieces. You don't get to cut me and think I won't bleed. And then go, you're okay, you're just a wife. I'm a woman, I'm a female, I have blood, I have feelings, I have all the things. But all of that comes to unresolved stuff before they even got to that woman. Because their mother didn't learn how to love, didn't teach them how to, didn't love on them, didn't nurture them. They didn't have that soft where, and the expectation of, no, you get to talk to me like this. From a mother's perspective, never mind, because when you get to the wife, that's a whole other something else.
Okay. So I kind of think it go both ways, but also, I see where a man can have more responsibility, more. There should be more coming from him. I got an opinion about some stuff, but that's on a whole nother.
Well, why? Why won't you give it to me? I want to know.
I think because, I don't know. For one, what I do get when men talk with women, we get different perspectives,
Absolutely.
And for the most part, some women expect men to think in a certain perspective as they think men should or would.
Right.
That's not always true.
No, that's societal stuff. So you're absolutely right.
So when you were speaking about a relationship between two people, that relationship in any respect should be unconditional, no doubt. All right. What's good for the man has to be great for the woman. It should be equal. When
make that make sense to me.
Okay, if you expect, because I'm this man, for me to do everything, and then I get the side stuff, I'm the sweet, the softer. No, it shouldn't be that, because the understanding is women were first to begin with. What happened to their strength? What changed the mindset to where women became these dependent beings upon men when that's not how it started?
Who said that?
Oh, the history.
Give me. Okay, so.
Oh, okay. So This
So we're
is
going to come from two
historically
different perspectives.
speaking.
We're going to come from, even from that, we're going to
speaking,
come from two
We're in
different
a
perspectives.
paternal society. It wasn't always like that. That's all I'm stressing.
Right. No. I
You know,
understand. I don't know.
It started
Mhm.
paternalistically. All right. That's history. Those are facts.
Those are your facts. I'm going to disagree.
Okay.
We're going to agree to disagree.
Now I'm gonna tell you when things change.
Yes, sir.
In terms of this paternalistic, society.
Uh-huh.
It had a lot to do with religion.
Do you want to go down there, bro? Because
I don't mind.
Count the names, count the bodies, count the victory. Cullen Hughes, Hearst, and writing future history. From the Apollo to the Borough to the Sphere. Where the echo of those Harlem nights still ringing clear. So when they ask what happened in those tenement flats, between the spirituals and where consciousness is at, tell them we transform suffering to scholarship and song. Tell them we've been telling you we're brilliant all along. The Renaissance will prologue every decade since the sequel. Every black child born's continuation of the people who survived the Middle Passage, survived the Jim Crow laws and built magnificence from nothing but their vision and their flaws. It's in the sergeant, this is once a less than. Had this hats and recitations. Please don't you, I can't stop us. Power sensitive, watching applause for polls. Need your data, talks and counseling. They problem when the wet just wanna build the season bait. Now don't get the pause. It's just the raising up the times. Plead the markets off the main. Make the honor fans turn and neck and love the durn. Suffers like a kisher. You went from the preaching up on side as each alone, bitch on the shaking. Untrue seeing vets and wonder very it's on Gary Land. Be hell in heaven, you see what the bonafide. You wait talking for the marker, make the kitchen for the trumpets on the bloods to the singer land is carried open slowly. Keep us focused on my mother, break it generous, more than he and let the peasant be. It's every time we keep a spawn.